Dear students, good morning to all of you. After discussing the historical background of the Philippine politics, let us now proceed to the three branches of the Philippine government. We will tackle first the legislative branch. The primary function of the legislative branch is the creation, enactments, and amendments of laws. In other words, the legislative branch is authorized to make laws, alter, and repeal them through the power vested in the Philippine Congress. As stated in Article 6, Section 1 of 1987 Constitution, the legislative power shall be vested in the Congress of the Philippines, which shall consist of a Senate and a House of Representatives. In deeper meaning, let's discuss the legislation and the rule of law. Laws are set of rules, or pieces of legislation, that are formulated by the government, and are meant to be followed by all citizens of the state. A rule of conduct or procedure established by custom, agreement, or authority. A code of principles based on morality, conscience, or nature. For examples: 1. Don't text while you're driving. 2. RA 7610, a law against child abuse. 3. Anti-Terrorism Act of 2020. Legislation also refers to the act of making laws, and considered as one of the powers of government. Citizens can also participate in legislation through an initiative and referendum. An initiative allows people to directly propose laws, and even amendments to the Constitution. Example is People's Initiative. There are three systems of initiative, namely, first, initiative on the Constitution, which refers to a petition, proposing amendments to the Constitution. Second, initiative on statutes, which refers to a petition, proposing to enact a national legislation. Third, initiative on local legislation, which refers to a petition, proposing to enact a regional, provincial, city, municipal, or barangay law, resolution, or ordinance. Indirect initiative is exercise of initiative by the people through a proposition sent to Congress or the local legislative body for action. On the other hand, a referendum is a means by which people are able to vote, either approve or reject a piece of legislation. It may be of two classes, namely, first, referendum on statutes, which refers to a petition to approve or reject an act or law, or part thereof, passed by Congress. Second, referendum on local law, which refers to a petition to approve or reject a law, resolution, or ordinance, enacted by regional assemblies and local legislative bodies. To exercise the power of initiative or referendum, at least 10% of the total number of the registered voters, of which every legislative district is represented by at least 3% of the registered voters thereof, shall sign a petition for the purpose, and register the same with the Commission. The rule of law is a principle centered on belief that a state should be governed by laws, and not by the arbitrary decisions of leaders or government officials. It simply means that, whether you have the position in the government, or you are the highest official, or even if you are the richest person in the country, still, you will never be above the law. What are your thoughts about this line? No one is above the law. What are the important roles of the legislature in upholding the rule of law? The Constitution. It is the supreme law of the land, and the basis and foundation of all laws in the country. It is also known as the organic law. An organic law is a law that describes and organizes the government that will run the state. Therefore, the 1987 Philippine Constitution serves as the organic law of the Fifth Philippine Republic. Modern Philippine laws are defined according to the following. 1. Specific political or social matters they deal with. 2. Particular group or system under their scope. Republic Acts refers to the laws that are created to carry out the principles stated in the Constitution. These acts are enforced by the government and must be followed by all the citizens of the state. This is how Republic Acts are being processed. First, the bill is crafted. Next, it is passed by the Congress. Lastly, the President should approve the bill in order for the bill to become a Republic Act. General classification of laws. Administrative law is concerned with activities or actions of government agencies and departments. Example: the law relating to public health, education, housing, and other public services could logically be regarded as part of the corpus of administrative law. Civil service law pertains to public service, employment, selection, and promotion of workers. Example: the body of government officials who are employed in civil occupations, that is neither political nor judicial. In most countries, the term refers to employees selected and promoted on the basis of a merit and seniority system, which may include examinations. Civil law covers the rights and duties of individuals. Examples are defamation, including libel and slander, breach of contract, negligence resulting in injury or death, and property damage. Criminal law addresses crimes and outlines criminal behaviors and their sanctions. Examples are murder, assault, theft, and drunken driving. Labor law addresses the relationship between employers and workers. Example of these laws, such as the Fair Labor Standards Act, prohibits child labor and sets a minimum wage. Vacation, individual work contract, non-discrimination. Commercial law focuses on trade concerns, particularly the pricing of goods and services. Example: business and financial transactions. They mainly include contract law, property law, corporate law, intellectual property law, tax law, negotiable instrument law, and uniform commercial code. Taxation law identifies, determines, and regulates the type of taxes to be levied. Example: when you buy coffee at a local corner store, the retailer charges you tax on your coffee, which he or she subsequently pays to the government. Direct taxes are those you pay directly to the government, and are imposed against things like land or real property, personal property, and income. The President can also execute pronouncements that are not legislation, but have the effect of law, since they are implemented by the government and followed by the citizens. First is administrative orders, which addresses the organization of government offices and authorize a department to perform an action. Acts of the President which relate to particular aspects of governmental operations, in pursuance of his duties as administrative head, shall be promulgated in administrative orders. Second is executive orders. These are enacted to help the President to improve his or her management of the government. Acts of the President providing for rules of a general or permanent character in implementation or execution of constitutional or statutory powers shall be promulgated in executive orders. Third is proclamation, which primarily sets the dates of national or local interest, such as holidays and commemorations. Acts of the President fixing a date or declaring a status or condition of public moment or interest, upon the existence of which the operation of a specific law or regulation is made to depend, shall be promulgated in proclamations, which shall have the force of an executive order. At the local level, the power of legislation is exercised by barangay, municipal, and provincial councils. These bodies create ordinances that are applicable within their respective jurisdictions. Two important characteristics of laws are validity and continuity. The validity of laws is determined through a collaborative process involving all of the branches of government. Continuity, on the other hand, means that a law remains valid until it is either amended, repealed, or replaced by a new law. What do you think is the importance of laws and legislation in politics and governance? The Philippine Congress is the legislative branch of our government that has the power and responsibility to create laws. It is a bicameral body, composed of two houses or two chambers, which are the upper house or the Senate, and the lower house or the House of Representatives. Both houses have specific responsibilities, and the members are chosen based on criteria defined by Article 6 of 1987 Philippine Constitution. What should be the qualifications of a legislative candidate? Now, let us further discuss the Senate. The Senate is composed of 24 senators, who are elected nationally. Each senator serves a 6-year term of office, for a maximum of 2 consecutive terms. The following are the qualifications for a senatorial candidate. 1. A natural-born Filipino. 2. At least 35 years old. 3. Must be able to read and write. 4. Must be a registered voter. 5. Resident of the Philippines for at least 2 years. Did you know that, within the upper house, they also have set of officers? Here are the officers in the Senate. Senate President is the presiding officer, and the highest-ranking official of the Senate of the Philippines, and third highest and most powerful official in the government of the Philippines. The Senate President pro tempore of the Senate of the Philippines is the second highest-ranking official of the Senate of the Philippines. During the absence of the Senate President President pro tempore presides over the Senate. Senate Majority Floor Leader is the leader elected by the political party or coalition of parties that holds the majority in the Senate of the Philippines. The Majority Leader also manages the business of the majority bloc in the Senate. Senate Minority Floor Leader is the leader elected by the political party or coalition of parties that are not part of the majority bloc in the Senate of the Philippines. He manages the business of the minority in the Senate. He is expected to defend the minority's parliamentary rights, to criticize the policies and programs of the majority, and to use parliamentary tactics to defeat, pass, or amend legislation. Let us proceed to the lower house, or the House of Representatives. It is composed of representatives, who are colloquially referred to as congressmen and congresswomen. They are given 3-year terms, and may serve not more than 3 consecutive terms in office. The 1987 Constitution states that the House of Representatives must be composed of 250 members. Each member is classified either as a district representative or party list representative. The district representatives comprised the majority of the House, and are elected by constituents residing in their respective congressional districts. According to the Constitution, a province or a city with a population of at least 250,000 requires at least 1 representative. Meanwhile, the party list representatives is composed of about 20% of the House of Representatives. They come from organizations corresponding various sectors of the society. An individual running for a position in the House of Representatives must meet the following requirements. 1. A natural-born citizen of the Philippines. 2 at least 25 years old. 3 able to read and write. 4 a registered voter of the district in which he or she shall be elected. 5 have lived in the same district for at least a year before the election day. Like in the Senate, the members of the House of Representatives also elect their own set of officials. The highest official is the Speaker of the House. During the absence of Speaker of the House, he or she shall be replaced by one of the deputy speakers. The next are the Majority Floor Leader and Minority Floor Leader. The final 2 officials are Secretary General and Sergeant at Arms. In your opinion, what issues or challenges limit the effectiveness of Congress in performing its duties? A law is created through legislative process. It starts with the initiation of a bill, or a proposed legislation. It can be passed individually or jointly by the members of the Congress. Here is the process on how the bill becomes a law. Authorship of the bill. The legislative branch, both House of Representatives and Senate, author bills to address issues, whether it is about economic, social, political, etc., on both national and local levels. Wherein, SB stands for Senate Bill, filed in Senate, HB, or House Bill, which is filed in House of Representatives. These are general measures, which if passed upon, may become laws. A bill is prefixed with S, followed by a number assigned the measure based on the order in which it is introduced. First reading. Once a measure has been introduced and given a number, it is read and referred to an appropriate committee. It must be noted that during the reading of the bill, only the title and the author is read on the floor. The Senate President is responsible for referring bills introduced to appropriate committees. The jurisdictions of the standing committees are spelled out in Rule 10, Section 13 of the Rules of the Senate. For example, if a bill involves matters relating to agriculture, food production, and agribusiness, it must be referred to the Committee on Agriculture and Food. Committee consideration. Committee conducts hearings and consultation meetings. It then either approves the proposed bill without an amendment, approves it with changes, or recommends substitution or consolidation with similar bills filed. The committee report with its approved bill version is submitted to the Committee on Rules for calendaring for second reading. Second reading. Bill author delivers sponsorship speech on the floor. Senators engage in debate, interpellation, turno and contra, and rebuttal to highlight the pros and cons of the bill. A period of amendments incorporates necessary changes in the bill proposed by the committee, or introduced by the senators themselves on the floor. Senators vote on the second reading version of the bill. If approved, the bill is calendared for third reading. Third reading. Printed copies of the bill's final version are distributed to the senators. This time, only the title of the bill is read on the floor. Nominal voting is held. If passed, the approved Senate bill is referred to the House of Representatives for concurrence. If the House-approved version is compatible with that of the Senate's, the final version's enrolled form is printed. Bicameral Conference Committee. If there are certain differences, a bicameral conference committee is called to reconcile conflicting provisions of both versions of the Senate and of the House of Representatives. Conference committee submits report on the reconciled version of the bill, duly approved by both chambers. The Senate prints the reconciled version in its enrolled form. Presidential action. Once received by the office of the President, the bill can take one of 3 routes. First is approved. Once it is approved by the President, it becomes a Republic Act and takes effect 15 days after publication in the Official Gazette, or at least 2 national newspapers of general circulation. Second is vetoed. The bill is returned to the originating House with an explanation on why it was vetoed. The House can either accept the veto, or override it with a 2/3 or majority of vote, after which it is essentially approved, and takes effect 15 days after being publicized. Third is, lapsed into law. A bill is said to have lapsed into law if the President fails to act on it within 30 days, after receiving the bill. It takes effect 15 days after being publicized. How does the legislative process ensure the effectiveness of a proposed piece of legislation?
Happy learning at home with lessons made easy by Olivarian GoTeach. One proud Olivarian.